angry nation. And a significant segment of Kenyans are angry people. We must pay greater attention to the underlying causes of this anger and address them as a matter of urgency. The despondency among our youth caused by lack of opportunities is something that cannot be ignored in this analysis. Tupunguze wizi, tujenge taifa. Very, very strong sentiments, and which I completely agree with, that there is a huge percentage of people in this country who are very angry. They're just mad and waiting for just something small to spark them into violence and to spark them into, a sort of reaction. I have Mureithi Muito here with me in the studio. Mureithi, do you agree with this diagnosis?
First, let me appreciate. Thank you very much. I do appreciate, and I do agree with what Wakiliongo is saying. And the sentiments are right and they're true. Because we have reached a point where today we are mourning with mourning. We are mourning bloodshed with bloodshed.
Yes.
That is the day of mourning. We must shed some more blood.
As in, the protests are part of it against police brutality.
Yes.
And then still you experience police brutality.
You experience police brutality.
Yes.
Bloodshed in the initial day, bloodshed on the anniversary day, and if it continues on and on, I think it's not going to really give it a correct trajectory. Considering that the memories, the commemoration, the commemorations might go on and on and on every year. So I think we need to change tact. Message is home. The country is angry. The nation is angry. Majority of Kenyans are angry. And that's where we are saying, trying to see it from also his perspective, which is what I was thinking about. And I mentioned last week that it's time the president calls himself to a meeting. And the correct word is to re-strategize, reorganize himself. Not reorganize to counter, but reorganize himself, as in put his act together, put his house together, and put his house in order. And I believe that is where we are at, because you have witnessed that there is that unruliness, not only on the side of the citizens, but even on the side of the forces.
Yes.
And when it gets to that point, then it means the kind of distaste is actually exceeding normal limits. And so, since the disgust, the loathfulness is actually directed to State House and the president,
Yes.
I think it is time that he gathers his people, his supporters, and talk to Kenyans. Offer redress to the grievances that have been presented to him.
Yes.
Because when they try to play politics with this, it might end up leading to something that they may not even wish to see. They have children in Kenya. They have their own children right here. And if we ban Kenya, then it means we're not banning Kenya for the poor. We're banning Kenyans for all Kenyans. So I think whatever safe haven they feel they could be in, that's the politicians. I think it is time they get down from that high horse and come down and talk to this larger generation. We always say that the youth population is around over 70%. Now, if almost all the youth are angry with you, you're talking about 70% of the nation angry with you. I think it's time, even doing the simple maths with a historical mind. You can understand that when you realize that the smaller percentage is on your side and you need to have the whole nation backing you, something is very wrong.
And in your opinion, I know the youth are talking about, the initial one was the finance bill. The finance bill, that's how the whole thing started. Why are people still so angry and mad?
See, the people you're talking to were there before, were there when you're campaigning. They were there. They had the kind of changes you said you were going to cost on the health sector. Taking an example, and you said that you're going to transform the NHIF during campaigns. We transformed the NHIF and make it easy to access for any type of patient, and even patients with chronic diseases. Okay. Now, once you took power, then the transformation first is the shutting down all systems for the NHIF for a while still people are continuing to suffer with the various ailments and sicknesses. So when this is happening, people are paying and they're getting angry. You have paid for your NHIF, and the money that you paid, nobody knows where it goes, where it went. But you're being introduced into a new thing called SHIF. You're being introduced to Adani. You're being introduced to these other deals. And along that process of trying to introduce it, there's somebody who has been having a patient in hospital. I don't know how you'd address, you'd actually offer redress to such a person. Now, the only thing that happens or takes place in such a mind is anger that continues to build. Then the system is now rolled out, the SHIF. And once it's rolled out, some funny, weird tactics come in that, system for monthly payment is down, but we have the system for annual functioning. So unless you pay for the annual, the total annual fee, you may not get any form of treatment. Then come back to the law. Person who is suffering and sick deserves one thing: emergency care, emergency treatment, and there is a law that talks about standard emergency treatment, which is supposed to be offered to any patient. Before we talk about money, before we talk about everything else. So when you tell a patient that you will not be treated because you have no money, and we don't do business in hospital, neither are we employed in hospitals, and you don't make money in hospitals, you're still, fanning that fire that you kindled with the little loathful things that started in the beginning. When capitation almost ceased, when you pushed back again, now like with this finance bill, when the government abandoned facilitation of exam fee, examination budget, when they abandoned it, the burden goes to one person. Yes. It's not the school. It's the parents. Today, schools are struggling to try and fund their day-to-day activities. Others who have space, I've seen some engaging in some form of farming. But what happens when the market is not favorable? And you've already done a bit of that practice. What happens when there is an outbreak? Maybe you decided we'll rear cattle and these kind of things. And not all schools have got parents that are able to do this kind of, mobilization of resources.
So the anger that we are seeing in our young people,
is
being passed on by the suffering of their parents.
Of their parents,
yes,
because they're living with them.
Yes.
So some of these things, the same student has heard what mom and dad were talking about last night.
Yes.
Then goes to school, help is not available. Goes to school. And things have gone haywire in their family. Maybe business is not going right, and they are barely surviving on one meal because there is nothing. The landlord is on the neck of their parents, and here you are declared a rich person because you went to an academy. Because I
you
hear
went to an
they call
academy, you've been classified as a rich person.
Yes, so you're classified as a rich person
don't
because you
access
went
the
into a
money.
private school. You know, such stupidity that is being, exercised by learned people is what is angering the youth. They come back home. They can't even get fare because the parents are suffering. And when it comes again now to the student, he goes to school in that with all that piled up in his mind. Why wouldn't this kind of rage now be kindled? Then come to the one now he's thinking that student youth in the Gen Z generation thinks. Let me just go to that pool area where we have some bit of relaxation and entertaining ourselves with these games, darts, whatever, and maybe some chat with some guys. Then the only thing they can hear is that maze hakuna job, maze nimesota. These are the kind of things. Everything is negative.
Yes.
So then you see
the environment around them is so negatively charged. With lack and how things are not working.
Then some careless member of parliament and MPs begin to say, we have already sneaked in what you rejected. 95% of it is already operational. Really? Then you're expecting some kisses and hugs around this time from the same generation, from the same people.
So the MP is saying, whatever you are protesting against,
we already passed it, and it's under implementation now. It's functional.
Meaning what you did last year is absolutely nothing.
Nothing. In other words, you're talking to the same guy, and I'm still within that family, that young guy from that family. And all this is being pumped into their mind. Why would the tear gas make any impact on them? It's getting to a point where they will actually sniff it. Because, like you said, the adrenaline is now getting to a point where it's charging. And we need to pray for this country. I'm not really blaming the youth. I'm blaming the careless government. Look at it this way. When we're talking about the little money that is meant to fund examination, is around $1 billion or something. And somebody is working with 50 million to spend over the weekend. And we share among the guys who are going to sing that sycophantic melody during their whatever events they're going to attend. And maybe that leader of the government or a deputy, and you're going to campaigns and dishing out money in millions on a weekend, and you're dishing out the 500, the 2,000, the 5,000, whatever money you give to the same people. You're telling that from now henceforth, what we passed in the finance bill, you will be taking care of exams, capitation. The same parent is being told by the principal of the school that in a meeting they're told that we were supposed to receive this, we're receiving less, and so sometimes we've not received. And unless you advise us, especially those in boarding, you are told unless you advise us to send our children home so that at least we don't have this problem, because you don't want to see them starving. Then education is still going on, the curriculum. So we're in a very sorry state.
You know what you're talking about? I saw yesterday, I don't know whether it was in Embu, where a police officer had been left behind by the truck.
Yes.
And people chased him down. And I even remember seeing one of the guys, doing a Bruce Lee fly kick.
Yeah.
And hitting the police officer. The police officer goes down, and people mob him to beat him up.
Yeah.
Within the CBD, I saw security guards opening the sliding door of one of the shops to hide a police officer.
Yeah.
As in, there's a policewoman who was beaten up seriously by the guys. There's an anger towards anything that is connected to the government. Now, if you are the president of the Republic of Kenya and you have 2026, there will be a June 25 in 2026, then And remember, next year will be at the height of campaigns.
It's an electioneering moment.
Yes. And then 2026, at the height of the electioneering period, just maybe a month or two before the election, you have the same thing going on. And now probably multiplied times 2, because everybody will be campaigning. As in, you can imagine the environment. Seeing that, what can you do now to forestall that?
Dialogue. It is through dialogue that this comes out. But the question is, dialogue with who?
Yes.
And remember, the president sort of hoodwinked the youth with the several moments he had some tete-a-tete. You could hear the grievances that the youth were presenting. And they had a lot of weight. If he went back and sat down to say, okay, I hear help has a problem. Now, can we first do away with the band thing, the banding thing, and then begin a new thing, or continue with the same system, but ensure that whatever money was set aside for that budget is pushed to the old help system, and ensure that the students are still getting the funding, because, like I said, the academic calendar is still on, and you ensure that the facilitation is there adequately, while you think of the new thing. Now, what is so significant with this government is that much as they hear these things, and even as I saw a lady riding on a motorbike, standing, supported by some gentlemen, pregnant woman, complaining, the government is not so clear on whether Linda Mama is still Linda Mama. You know, they are talking about setting aside funds where it can take care of maternal care or everything. You know, everything about maternity. But now the problem is, why don't you just continue with it as Linda Mama? The problem with this government is that they don't want to continue with NHIF. They don't want to continue with the capitation, as it were, with the former governments. They want to plant a new tree. How long is it going to take to grow that one within this term or the next term? You know, so when the leadership is such short-sighted, the suffering is going to be there, because if in this budget they've set aside money for it's called maternity care, they are supposed to just label it and call it Linda Mama, as Kenyans know it synonymously, that is supposed to be Linda Mama, because they had seen the benefits before. I'm also a beneficiary of Linda Mama. My last born came via Linda Mama. I paid nothing, not a cent, save for the Uber that I paid to get my wife from hospital. Everything was catered for by government. That's the Linda Mama we know. Now, when you have this amorphous Linda Mama that is now being hyped over by these politicians, pro-government politicians in public, and they're not coming out clear to tell us whether it is still the Linda Mama going on, it becomes problematic. So if the president really wants to have the interest of Kenyans as his top priority, not really re-election, and also he can do that for re-election, is to continue with what he started with a sincere, honest heart. The way he was sitting down to listen to people during campaigns, now he has the power, the mandate, the resources to implement the thoughts that he had. Remember, the same people are the ones you told that they will be occupying houses and pay as low as 8,000 shillings for a house that would be worth 840,000 shillings. And the chairman, the then PS, Hinga, CS, I think by then he was CS, now he's still CS. He was PS then. He had explained that actually the only expense we are incurring is when we are doing the roofing of that building. Otherwise, the floor of the top house is the roof of the lower house. So there are no costs. It's just the walls and putting up these things. It was coming to around 720,000 shillings. Today, how much is it? Is it 3 million? What's the difference with what the former regime was doing? And you wanted to get us out of that 3.6 million for the former regime and bring us to 800,000, which was worthwhile for any Kenyan who is actually struggling to put a meal on the table. And we knew that truly it was to bring down the rents even from these private ownership landlords.
Yes.
You know, the rates of rent would have gone down because it would be forced to come down by the rates of the, you know, government structures put up for Kenyans to occupy. Having changed that from 800,000
to 3
million, it means he needs to sit down, talk to people, tell them why and what has affected
do you
this
think
thing
communication is at the core of the problem in this government? Because I know there are things that, take for instance that SHA shift thing. For my mother it works. My mother was from NHIF to this system. She was doing dialysis, and they've been taking care of it. So for me, I see aspects of...
So had you paid monthly or you paid the whole thing for the whole year for the card?
What my mom did, what we did, I think there was a time we just paid, because we knew how much money is supposed to be annually, we just paid the whole...
Now come to the family that cannot afford that whole amount, only pay 1 month, and 2 months and 3 months you don't have.
So I think we've been paying. I need to find out, but I know that she's been going there dialysis. She's never been stopped from accessing that facility. So for me, from my perspective, my interaction with it, I have seen aspects of it that work. I've seen aspects of it that work. At the same time, maybe one of the things that we need to develop as a country is having a long-term vision. You see, President Kibaki had Vision 2030. And it had aspects of Vision 2030 that were supposed to be implemented for us to get to a certain point by 2030. I think what presidents, when people are campaigning, what they should tell us is what aspect of Vision 2030 are you going to fulfill? We know this is what is supposed, because we're having people coming and doing what has been done, even at the MP level. An MP comes, the one who's in place does a school block. If it's unfinished by the time he's out, that building is left the same way it was. It's not completed because the now new MP doesn't want he wants to build his new one. It's just madness.
You know, corruption is what causes all this to take place. Coming from now the latter. I find a structure has been put up, not yet complete. Instead of building upon what is there, I decide to do mine. Why? Because I want to have, to have a share of maybe commission. If I'm just trying to give it a kind of, easy, acceptable, term, commission, the token of appreciation from the ones you have maybe given these contracts. Now, the attitude that is in our leadership, if the president who comes in demands that if you want to get new CDF money for the next budget, yes, you deserve it. But as an executive order, you don't get it.
If
there are projects that were left behind which will not be completed. These issues
they have to
be
complete them.
completed for the sake of who? For the sake of the Kenyan who elected us.
Yes.
You know. Now, when you come and start off a new block, like the way we started CBC, and we didn't know where it was heading to, and we didn't even understand it, and it was a very simple thing that was supposed to be taken up. I remember when Professor Ongeri was actually working towards introducing a new system. We met at KCA.
Yes.
There was a time when he had to address people from there, and as members of press, we asked him, my friend, why don't you just equip 844? Now, you're reintroducing art and craft and music, and yet it has been there. It's just a matter of now equipping it and let it continue. So this culture of introducing a new thing, Kibaki had Vision 2030.
Yes.
Then maybe this KK government comes up with Vision 2040, 2050. You know, you want to have your 30 years so that you can have some grand plans, you know. So you begin to do some grand foundation work that would cost Kenyans a lot of money, instead of completing the railway that was supposed to come from Nairobi to Nanyuki to Timau, go to Meru, go to Isiolo. Just complete that project. That is all, you know, and you'll have taken development to along that route all the way to Nanyuki, make it a bigger town, you know, all these kind of things. These are the things that would have happened. And you've seen what such infrastructure does for us, the roads, the rails, you know, an airport, you know, you see the kind of changes that they cause. So if this government is serious with the interest of the people, what do our people want? I think the president, and the buck stops at the president. And I tell you,
I totally agree with that.
Coming back to the chief and Shah, and may God heal your mother as much as he heals others who are also suffering or affected. What I'm trying to say is that if the government is so keen, the idea was noble during campaigns. It took care of those who can, those who have, and the have-nots. But when they took up power and they found themselves on the side of those who have, it died. Because somebody who was not a member of parliament, and how here you are, now you have 10 million shillings set aside for your health. You know? What is it? What's there for you to care about what happens at Makadara Dispensary or Mama Lucy or Langata Health Center? I mean, there's nothing. So you can come up with all these, you know, these things of, you know, referral thing and make it a law. So while I'm dying, I'm waiting for this doctor to approve to take me to the next level, where I can get better services, then to be taken to the next level. You know, those bureaucratic systems introduced in hospitals are things that ought to have been addressed a long time ago. Let these services come to hospitals. So if there is a card that is functional at the top level 7, can still be usable at level 1. Because you're dealing with the same person, same body, same sickness. So
aspect of vision, just to take you there, I'm trying to see, we are supposed, we've got a few minutes to go. In I think Dubai, the Arab Emirates, 1945, Dubai was nothing but a desert. A poor place. In fact, there was nothing to talk about Dubai. Then comes the leader. Right now, it's Ali Maktoum. His father comes up with the vision of what he wants Dubai and the United Arab Emirates to be. And they get to work and transform a desert into what it is. From 1945, in a space of from 1945 to now 2025, Dubai has become a first world where even people from the first world are going to. We were better off. They got oil, we've gotten oil. We have resources that they can only dream of.
Yeah.
They have turned Dubai into a tourist destination. In fact, now tourism is, I think, either the second or the third in terms of earning for the country, not oil. They don't have wild animals. They just have places, well-run and beautiful building. The rest is a desert. We have animals, lions. We have everything heaven has in terms of animals.
Yes.
Yet, we lack just one thing, a leader like Ali Maktoum, who can be able to see and transform this country to what it's supposed to be.
Truthfully, we don't need Ali Maktoum in Kenya. We need a president who is resolved, a resolute president, who could be a Kalenjin, a Luya, whatever, somebody who will tell us, why would we continue with the theory of Zinjanthropus in Turkana?
Yes.
Make it a shrine for the British, then the British come and dig our oil in Turkana under Talo. We have Ngamia 1, Ngamia 2, Ngamia 3, Ngamia 4, done by the Talo, the British. Then they send Philip, they send the Likis. The Likis come and tell us that this is your first origin, with guys full of, the hairy guys with a tail, Zinjanthropus.
Yes.
That this is a shrine. And Governor Nanok, who is sitting next to the president today, dug wells, actually boreholes, as shallow as 600 feet and got fresh water. Here in Nairobi, it's, if you went for fresh water, which has no saline, you're supposed to go as low as I think the second strata of the rock, and that would be around 3,000 feet to get fresh water. We need somebody who's going to tell us, like what Kibaki said, your wealth is below your feet, beneath, is on your ground where you're stepping, and above. He's telling us, think outside the box. So we kept that oil. Who knows about it?
Yeah.
Then those who come in power, knowing too well that there was oil, that's why there was that strife by the Turkana people. And Uhuru Kenyatta promised them 15%. It's no secret. That's what I can mention. 15%. What was it to come from? And he promised that we are actually able to make 200 barrels of oil daily. That's what we were able to obtain from those wells. And that would translate to 2 billion shillings daily. Then, to cover that one, we come up with the 2 billion shillings getting lost every day. And this new government adopted the same statement that we are losing 2 billion shillings. How do you lose 2 billion shillings? And you're the same person, the same people, the same person who signs 100 million. We lose 2 billion. So what I'm trying to say is that if we get serious, and I'm praying that I say if they let the president develop a thicker skin, and may God help him, because it is my work, my duty, my responsibility to pray for my president positively.
Yes.
That may God strengthen him and grant him power, even to break from the shackles of the ones who aid him around, because they're the ones he could be having the interest of Kenyans at heart. He wants to do it right, but there is somebody there, some people there who are benefiting from it, and they feel hakuna ni sisi, kama si sisi ni sisi, and that is what is actually causing our president to fumble big time. And I think with the help of God, maybe he'll be able to overcome this. But I do believe that the people who pretend to be sycophants, they're the ones who are actually causing the president not to be able to move.
The ones who talk a lot.
He's entangled, and he's not able to make some decisions as he would, because he has reached maybe a point where he feels, hey, okay, if I say this, I might offend this and that and the other guy. But Kenyans are not foolish. They're watching. When you make a good move, they'll support you.
True.
And you need them more than the few gangs around you. You know, if the president, that's what I'm saying, what we need is a resolute And we don't need a dictator. We need a resolute person. Somebody who will say, from now henceforth, we are going to start digging oil. This is what Kibaki did. Moi was threatened. He didn't dig the oil.
Yes.
You know, he intended, he wanted to, around 1989. And he was threatened by the Arabs on the other side. And at the same time, the British, they knew that they would like to come around. There is no Western country that has goodwill for Africa.
That's
And
one
Kenya,
thing we have to come to agree.
And Kenya. And Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the late, God rest his soul, he said, yes, we have broken from the physical shackles. We are free. But the decolonization of the mind ought to take place. As a matter of fact, personally, I desire the Pan-Africanist Ruto. Before he went to the US, I desire that president to be back. He was trying to see things from his own side. And maybe at that time, he must have depended on God so much. But this time round, I think he needs to get back to God.
Okay.
Let God help him, because he needs to get back. He needs to ask God, help me. Because if we're not humble enough to say, there must be something that is wrong with me, not wrong with you,
Yes.
God. There must be something wrong with me. Help me. And make a way for me. That will be the healing of himself as an individual and the nation. And I'm telling you, there is a space for that healing, of the nation.
All right.
Yeah. But dialogue, he must initiate it.
Yeah,
Right away.
I think you're very right on that. How that dialogue, the form, shape it's going to take is another thing altogether, because there needs to be talks. This is an angry nation.
Yeah, sure.
Very angry nation.
Very.
And that anger needs to be released some way. There needs to be a debriefing in the country to help people release that.
Sure.
Remember, we pray for the president, because if the president prospers, if he's successful in what he does, then we are successful.
The nation prospers.
If he fails, then we all fail. If Shah Chief does not work, all of us are affected. It's not the president. All of us are affected. So we need to pray for him to succeed. And we need to pray for him also to become humble and listen to what is being said. All right? Remember, at 9 a.m. we have Your Faith Today, and then at 2 p.m. we'll have Manukato. So stick around, we've got some great stuff for you.